This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. Very briefly this morning, I want to talk about Joe Manchin and what he did to the country this weekend. He killed Build Back Better. He killed the Biden agenda. A man who received 81 million fewer votes than Joe Biden did in their particular elections, controlled the fate of this particular agenda item of the President of the United States. Again, someone who received 81,268,924 votes. And Joe Manchin in West Virginia got 290,510 votes. Joe Manchin wants to be a king. He's an attention seeker. And I'm going to read his statement on why he killed Build Back Better, which, by the way, maybe I should just play the clip first, but he went on Fox News. He went on with Bret Baier from Fox News, the same Bret Baier who vacationed at Mar-a-Lago over Thanksgiving a few years back, hanging out with Donald Trump. Joe Manchin chose that guy on that show, on that network, to announce he was f***ing over poor kids in America. There's one aspect of this that has purportedly cut childhood poverty by like 30%. West Virginia is not a rich state. It is one of the poorest states in the Union. One of the states who takes more from the federal government than it gives in taxes. A state that needs the support, the federal dollars of legislation like Build Back Better. But I want to read this particular item that has been going on. That's the child tax credit, which has, again, cut child poverty by like 30%. This is from an article in the Huffington Post. Joe Manchin privately told colleagues parents use child tax credit money on drugs. The West Virginia senator just killed Democrats' agenda. In private negotiation, he questioned whether the poorest Americans would spend financial aid wisely. You know, like on things like yachts and fancy cars. The millionaire. Joe Manchin has a problem with how poor people spend their money. Manchin's refusal to support the bill likely means December's child tax credit payment will be the final one for the 36 million households that have been receiving the benefits since July. The credit pays $300 per child under 6 and $250 for kids under 18 for two-parent households earning less than $150,000 annually and single parents earning less than $112,000. Parents don't need to have earned money or to owe taxes in order to qualify. Now, if those numbers seem high to you, that's the highest end of the threshold. The vast majority of individuals who get this child tax credit, lifting their children out of poverty, are way below $150,000 for a household of two income earners, or $112,000 for a single parent. We're talking about people who are desperately poor. 36 million people. 36 million households, excuse me. And Joe Biden killed it. Joe Manchin killed it. Here he is on Fox News. Trump buddy, Bret Baier, going on his show to announce his damage to America. Watch this.
Now, Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. Senator, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Good to be with you, Brett.
Senator, you're at the center of this negotiation with the president over his social spending and tax bill, the Build Back Better bill that is not coming up in the Senate before the new year, in part largely because of your reservations. Without you, the leadership doesn't have the votes it needs. So today, right now, what's the state of play?
Well, Brett, this is a mammoth piece of legislation, and I had my reservations from the beginning when I heard about it 5.5 months ago, and I've been working diligently every day and every minute of every day. I've been working on this, meeting with, whether it be the President Biden, whether it be Majority Leader Schumer and his staff, whether it would be with Nancy Pelosi, all of my colleagues, I mean, from all different spectrums of the political spectrum, if you will, from the right to the left. I've done everything humanly possible. And you know my concerns I had, and I still have these concerns. And where I'm at right now, the inflation that I was concerned about, it's not transitory, it's real. It's harming every West Virginian. It's making it almost difficult for them to continue to go to their jobs. The cost of gasoline, the cost of groceries, the cost of utility bills, all of these things are hitting in every aspect of their life. And you start looking at, then you have the debt that we're carrying at $29 trillion. You have also the geopolitical unrest that we have. You have the COVID variant, and that is wreaking havoc again. People are concerned. I've been with my family. I know everyone's concerned. So when you have these things coming at you the way they are right now, I've always said this, Brett, if I can't go home and explain it to the people of West Virginia, I can't vote for it. And I cannot vote to continue with this piece of legislation. I just can't. I've tried everything humanly possible. I can't get there.
He has not been working diligently. He's been obstructing progress from the very beginning, something he's become very adept at. I'm going to read first. Let's do the order here a little differently. Let me read his statement from his website, his Senate website, on the reason he's killing this landmark agenda item for President Biden. For 5.5 months, I have worked as diligently as possible, meeting with President Biden, Majority Leader Schumer, Speaker Pelosi, and my colleagues on every end of the political spectrum to determine the best path forward, despite my serious reservations. I have made my concerns clear through public statements, op-eds, and private conversations. My concerns have only increased as the pandemic surges on, inflation rises, and geopolitical uncertainty increases around the world. So why not choose to make Americans more financially stable in these uncertain geopolitical times, Joe Manchin? I have always said, like he said in the interview, if I can't go back home to explain it, I can't vote for it. Meaningless. Just because you're not smart enough to explain something doesn't mean you shouldn't vote for it. You pig. My Democratic colleagues in Washington are determined to dramatically reshape our society in a way that leaves our country even more vulnerable to the threats we face. I cannot take that risk with a staggering debt of more than $29 trillion and inflation taxes that are real and harmful to every hardworking American at the gasoline pumps, grocery stores, and utility bills with no end in sight. Didn't have a problem voting for the defense authorization bill. Didn't have a problem voting for the almost $800 billion one-year Pentagon budget. No, inflation wasn't a concern then, was it there, Joe? The American people deserve transparency on the true cost of the Build Back Better Act. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office determined the cost is upwards of $4.5 trillion, which is more than double the bill's ardent supporters have claimed. They continue to camouflage the real cost of the intent behind this bill. I'm not going to read this whole thing. It's not worth giving him the airtime. Yeah, I'm done. Here's the real reason. Not the public-facing, carefully crafted statement, but what he said in private. Again, reading from this article from the Huffington Post. Publicly, his biggest gripes are about the cost of the bill, but privately, Manchin has told his colleagues that he essentially doesn't trust low-income people to spend government money wisely. In recent months, Manchin has told several of his fellow Democrats that he thought parents would waste monthly child tax credit payments on drugs instead of providing for their children, according to two sources familiar with the senator's comments. Now, listen, having been a child in poverty, grew up very poor. When you're poor, you know exactly how much money you have. You know how to budget your money. You're not poor because you spend your money unwisely. You're poor because you don't have enough money to budget. Millionaire Joe Manchin apparently doesn't understand the real struggles of living in poverty, the real stressors that it creates, the physical toll, the actual literal physical toll that it takes on someone's body. He's worried they're going to buy drugs. This is something that dumb Chuck Grassley would say and has said in the past. This is a Republican talking point. Continuing the child tax credit for another year is a core part of the Build Back Better legislation that Democrats had hoped to pass by the end of the year. The policy has already cut child poverty by nearly 30%. There's that figure. Already, which, one, if we can cut it by 30%, that means we can cut it by 50%. If we can cut it by 50%, we can cut it by 75%, and on and on and on. We can eliminate it. We, the people, through government spending, through allocating taxes, revenues. Joe Manchin, not committed to decreasing child poverty, committed to paying for an nearly $800 billion, $0.8 trillion for 1 year of military spending in peace times. No inflation concern. Manchin's private comments shocked several senators who saw it as an unfair assault on his own constituents and those struggling to raise children in poverty. Manchin also told colleagues he believes that Americans would fraudulently use the proposed paid sick leave policy, specifically saying people would feign being sick and go on hunting trips, a source familiar with his comments told Huffington Post. And then here are the real deal. According to the monthly survey data from the Census Bureau, low-income households that receive the credit have reported spending the money mostly on necessities like food, utilities, clothing, and school supplies. 4% of households have reported using the money for recreational goods such as sports equipment or toys. You, Joe Manchin. You are a terrible human being and a disgrace to public office. And yeah, blame absolutely needs to be spread around on the Republican side of things. 50 Republican senators are not even in the conversation. And that's tragic, but it does not take away blame from Joe Manchin. Even Kirsten Sinema was in the conversation on this. But millionaire Joe Manchin, who didn't even get 300,000 votes, he controlled this. Gross. What do you think, though? Am I being too harsh? You can call, leave me a voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. Thanks for your time and attention today. Listen, I hope you are as upset as I am about this. Progressives called this. Those members of the squad or the Progressive Caucus who refused to vote for the infrastructure bill because they wanted the vote on this first, they were right. When Joe Manchin said, trust me, just trust me. We'll get this done. Let's vote for this, then we'll do the other thing. You got to trust me. He's a liar. He lied. And he went on Fox News to announce his betrayal of the nation and our nation's poor. Again, gross. Follow me on social media. You can connect with me there. I'm at Dollemore just about everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, the whole deal. And if you appreciate what I do, if I bring you some value on a day-to-day basis, you can contribute to my work, help support and produce my work for as little as $1.99 a month. You can click the join button below this video, become a channel member, look into what's involved with becoming a channel member. Just clicking doesn't join you. There's other steps. Or you can go over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. All those are great ways to help support and produce my work. And my move, actually, the show is growing. We're moving to Washington, D.C. to be have more access, more proximity to members of Congress and the people like this who need to be held accountable. Anyway, I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Until I do, be genuine. Take care of one another.